Welcome friends, in this video we're going to take a look at inner and left joins, but this time we'll use a more realistically sized file. So in the lesson resources there's a file called AdventureWorks 2014.bak. Even though it's a slightly older version, keep in mind that what I'm about to show you works the same in 16, 17, it's all the same. So what we are going to do is this. What I mean is SQL Server 2016 Express, or the 17 version of SQL Express, same logic. So right click on databases and Object Explorer and go over to restore database. In your case, you got to download it first and save it. And then switch from database to device. And then click this button with the three little dots. And then click on add. And then after that, navigate to the folder where you have the file saved. So in my case, to make this as easy as possible, I just go with the data folder over here. That's it. On my C drive, I made a folder named data, and that's it. All right, I'm going to select the file AdventureWorks 2014.bak and then click OK. Click OK. All right. And then just keep clicking OK. And then it begins to restore the database. And there it is, nice. So click OK. On the left side now, you should see something called AdventureWorks 2014. And expand the tables node inside it. And there's a huge number of tables here. And these are good for practicing. This is a free database Microsoft provides. Obviously, you have the updated versions now for 2016-17. But it's, for our purposes, it doesn't make much difference. All right, so next we are going to do some joining of tables here. So what I want you to do is right-click in the query window here. Open one up if you don't have one. Go over to Design, Query in Editor. Control plus Shift plus Q. And notice there's a problem. These tables here are not the ones from AdventureWorks database. That means the database context is not correct for our purposes. So cancel that. Cancel that. And type the following. Use AdventureWorks. Type go to submit everything to the server for processing. Make sure you get a commands completed successfully. This establishes the correct database context for making queries. All right, now right click and then go over to Design and Editor. And now you should see the correct tables pop up. How do you know which tables to choose because there's so many? Well, you got to look through them. You got to be somewhat familiar with the tables, and that's all. So I've done some of this obviously before. I'm going to choose the tables that will actually help us understand something here. So the first table will be the product table right here. And notice that after you've got product and within the parentheses it says production. So in this view, the table name comes first and after that you get the schema. Remember, the schema is a way of organizing related items together into a cohesive unit. So for example, you see where it says product and production, and then product category and production, and product cost history and production. That means obviously that these tables are related in some fashion, correct? They all have something to do with the product. All right, so add, and then the next one that we are going to choose to go with this, so we can join them together, will be following the sales order detail. So sales order detail. Sales order detail. And notice that after it says sales, that's sales after it. Within the parentheses represents the schema. So when I look at these, I know that this one, 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 they're all related in some fashion. They're all related to sales. That's all. All right, so click add and then close. And immediately the query editor window establishes a basic inner join. And how does it know that it should do that? Well, take a look. I'm going to expand all of this. And look between the two tables. These are the fields in the tables. This is the product on the left side and the sales order detail on the right side. Note on the left side, you've got this product ID field right there. And on the right side, you also have a product ID field. So the query editor is smart enough to immediately establish a basic inner join based on that fact. So with that in place, if we just run this doesn't really help us much because we don't have any fields selected. So the next bit is to select some fields. All right, so first I'm going to select the product ID. The product name, for example. Now this name could be a little misleading because you don't know what you're naming. So right next to it, I'm going to type product name as the alias. I want it to be clear that this is the product name. And this time, if you look carefully in the panel on the bottom, things are a little more complicated. Let's focus on one of these things. It says production.product.product ID. So the production is the schema, the product is the table within it, and the product ID is the column within the table. So remember, schema organizes, in this particular case, product tables into a cohesive unit. That's all. It's a way of organizing information. All right. So you've got the product ID, you've got the product name. Maybe choose the size and some other columns. Maybe weight. That's good enough for our purposes. All right. So I've got product ID, name, alias as product name. I've got size and the weight. All right. On the right side, we are matching with the product ID. So I'm going to just select, for example, the unit price and the order quantity. And notice that on the left side, I have the product ID checked, but on the right side, I don't. So if I check the product ID on the right side where it says sales order detail, then the product ID will show twice in my output here, down below in the panel on the bottom. I don't want it there twice. Once is enough. If you hover your mouse over the diamond, it says inner join. And it tells you you're joining these two tables on the product ID. And because we're doing an inner join, you're pulling out the records from the left table and the right table where the product ID is the same. It has to match. If you've got a record in the table on the right that has a certain product ID, and you have a record in the table on the left that doesn't have a matching product ID, they're discarded, you see? So you're pulling out only the records that have matching product IDs between the two tables. The other ones go away. All right. Now, keep in mind that after this, all of this can be manipulated further. So let me just do that. When you click and you see a double-ended arrow, when you click between the column names, then it expands them, it sizes them to what you might actually be able to see everything. At the next stage then, maybe you want to sort this in some fashion. So as an example, take the size, and maybe you want to sort by the size. Or maybe by the unit price. Let's do the unit price for sorting, okay? All right, so over here, sort type, I'm going to choose descending, so from highest to lowest. And it looks like that. And you look carefully in the panel on the right side, the one I'm moving. Next to the unit price field, there's a little thing that goes ZA and then an arrow down. Hover your mouse over it, and it tells you to sort. This is all beautifully connected. Click OK at this point. And here is everything formed. Now, because there's so much of it, I want to move things around a little bit, line them up better so we can see everything. All right. I want to show you, then we'll take a look at some key facts here. So this is a more realistically sized exercise than the previous ones. I want to indent things so we can see everything a little better. All right, I'm going to push that in there a little bit. Push the on a little bit. And then push this in also. Sometimes it's hard to see everything. There's so much of it, you see? So remember that this business here, hover your mouse over production, it says schema. Then hovering mouse over product, it says table. You look at the tips carefully. Then hovering mouse over product ID, and it says column. That's how you identify those things. And notice all of these are coming from the product table. And those two over here are coming from the sales order detail table. And we can join the two because when you look at the on down below, look down below, you've got the product ID present in both of them. See? You're joining on the product ID. All right. And let's take a look. And again, just because there's a lot, don't forget the same basic logic, however, still applies, right? So first you're going to do the from, then you're going to do the on. After that, you're going to select your columns, and then after that, you order by. That's it. Doesn't change. So with all of this selected, and then execute. Give it a second. And we have done an inner joint, right? And a huge amount of data. Click on messages, and you've got 131,317 records. All right, so now write that down perhaps on a piece of paper. I'm going to write this down as a comment. So as a comment, I'm going to write inner join gives 121,317 records. Like that. So these are records matched between the two tables. And they look pretty good, you see? All right. And now let's do a left join. Just replace inner join with left join, just the way I have it. Right here. Hope you've got that. All right, and now let's do this one more time. Select it all and run it, hit execute. And now switch to the messages tab and observe that the left join gives 121,555 records. So as you can see, the left join gives more records than the inner join. And that is so because remember the left join has records even when they're not matched. You take all the records from basically the table on the left side. Now let's take a look at each individual table so you can see something here. Take a look. I'm going to say select star from production.product. Make sure it says production. Okay, and then run this. And when you do this, go over to messages and you see there are only 504 rows. That's it. 504, correct? Not too many. And you have the product ID, so it begins at 1. And when you scroll down, it ends at 999. So we've got 504 product IDs essentially. That's what it's saying. Now take a look at something here. Select star from, and now choose the other one. So sales schema dot and then sales order detail. Run that, execute it. And look here at the product ID. To see it better, do this. Order by product ID descending. And look at the product ID in this sales order detail table. You see that? It's there, as you can see, many times. It repeats. So in other words, multiple records have that same product ID. So when you think about it, it looks as though this product ID, this record should be matched with the correct product ID in the product table. But so should that one, as you can see, because it has that same product ID. And so should this one, because it's the same product ID. And if you scroll through it, as an example, 969 would be matched with something in the product table, but so would this record, you see? So would this one, because they have the same product IDs. All right, so this is just a small view into real things, where the complexity, as you can see, is considerably bigger. All right, friends, I'm going to leave it here. This is all of the code. Keep in mind that, of course, I designed it with a query editor. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. I want to make sure all of it is visible. There you go. Say 150%. That's good. And that is it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.